makeup friends, today we're going to do sort of a brand spotlight on Il Makiage. I have a ton of items from them and I'm just going to walk you through the items that I use to create this look and give you my thoughts on these products. So let's get into this. As always, I want to start off by welcoming you back to my channel, or if you are new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on my channel, we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. So like I said, all of the items that I'm going to talk about today are coming from Il Makiage. They did gift all of these items to me, and I have a contract with them for some content on their website. There's nothing in there about YouTube. I'm not getting paid to talk about it on here, but I figured I have the look all on here. I have the footage of the application for the video that I'm creating for them. So why not just talk about it quickly today? We'll go through the different items. I'll share with you my thoughts on them and then we'll wrap it up. So let's just dive straight into it. So the first item that I applied is the primer. So this is the No Filter Poreless Base Smoothing Primer. I gotta say, I love the packaging on it. Like it's a little like disco ball kind of deal. And then it's just got like the little pump here. And this rides the line for me. So I typically don't like that silicone feel in a primer. I do like the effect of blurring primers, but I normally just shy away from them because they have that slippery feel to them that I just can't handle. This has a bit of that, but it's not to the degree that some other primers are. So this is one that tactilely I can actually handle. It does produce a really nice blurring effect on the skin, but it doesn't have that like gross feel to it, if you know what I mean. There's a little tiny bit of it, but it's completely tolerable for me. And so this is one that I can see myself using repeatedly. Now let's talk about the foundation. So this is the Woke Up Like This foundation. I have it in the shade 40. They have like a whole match quiz thing on their website. I did use that. This was the shade that they recommended and it did work for me. It is actually the perfect match for me. I can't guarantee obviously that it's going to work for everybody, but it's nice to know that it worked for me. For a little bit of reference, I typically have NC20 skin. That's my MAC shade. So 40 is very similar to that and this is what it looks like on. What I can say about this foundation is that I actually really like it. It's very lightweight on the skin. There's none of that like heavy, greasy feeling at all. It has a very natural looking finish to it. It's not too matte. It's not too radiant. It just looks like natural skin, just perfected. It also blends out really nice. I haven't noticed any oxidization and it wears well throughout the day as well. So this is one that I do recommend. Now Il Makiage has a little bit of an interesting approach to it. You can actually try it before you buy it. So they send it out to you. You don't have to pay for it up front. And then I think you have about 14 days to test it out. If you haven't returned it by then, or at least said you're going to return it, I'm not entirely sure on the specifics to be completely honest, so check their website. But somewhere around that 14-day mark, at any rate, they will then take payment for you at that point. So that's kind of cool that you get an opportunity to test it out, especially because these are only sold online. I really like that. I did not use that, obviously, because they sent me the entire package, but I'm glad to say that this one worked out really well for me. And then I went in with the concealer. So this is the Fuck I'm Flawless concealer, and I have it in the shade 25. So again, I used that matching quiz, and 25 obviously is this lower number than 40. It is a little bit lighter than the foundation, but that just helps to brighten up under the eyes and to mask some of that darkness that I have going on under there. I am very impressed with this concealer. It does not cake up in any of my fine lines, and it really does have extremely good coverage as well. So this is one that I will be using over and over again. And if you're interested, I can do like a dedicated review of just this, do like the full day wear test, all that kind of thing. If you're curious about that, let me know down below in the comments and I will absolutely do that for you guys. To set the base products in place, I used the translucent setting powder. That's what it's called. Yes, translucent setting powder. I can say it is extremely finely milled, almost to the point where it's a little bit too powdery. When you're applying it, you can kind of see it pluming off of the skin, but it does not look cakey on the skin. A little bit goes a long way. There's no white cast to it. It is purely translucent and it really does help to lock all the products into place. I don't have any tackiness left on my skin after applying the powder and I really do think it's a very nice product. Now, I didn't get any bronzer or highlighter from Il Makiage, but I did get one of their mineral baked blushes, and this one is in the shade Poker Face. And this is just that perfect, like, sun-kissed kind of look. So it's a little bit on the peachy side, but there's a bit of like a bronzy element to it as well. It really just looks like a sunburn transitioning into a tan. I don't know why that's the aesthetic that I really go for, but I really just like the way that that looks. What I also really like about the blush is that it's very buildable. So you can really intensify it on the cheeks. So if you have a deeper skin tone, you can build up the intensity of it. But if you are fairer complected, you can really blend it out as well. This is just one of those really nice blushes that has a lot of pigmentation in it, but it's not difficult to work with. You can blend it out and just really make it a sheer wash of color or build it up as you see fit. For my brows, I used their Fill and Fix Brow Shaper, and I have it in the shade Truffles. And what I really like about this is the little applicator. I like that it's nice and precise, so you can really get into like the tail of the brows and not have it be too big for that. But I also really like the amount of hold that it has. So it does sort of keep the brows into place, but they're not crunchy. They feel almost a little bit waxy. But when I'm moving my eyebrows around and doing all that kind of thing, I don't feel any sort of resistance. I find sometimes with brow gels, they're just too aggressive, and then you're just aware of all the movement that your eyebrows make as you're like expressing emotion or being a human. With this one, there's none of that. I only feel that like tackiness if I'm actually pressing on my brows, which is very easily avoidable, so it's not a big deal at all. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. For eyeshadow, I used one of their quads in the shade Workaholic, and it's just like your perfect neutral palette. There are 3 matte shades, one sort of satiny kind of shade. I wouldn't really call it a shimmer. It does apply far more of like a satin or a very toned down shimmer. So for me, I prefer a more high impact shimmer. However, this one is really nice as a brow bone highlight or on the inner corner. I've used all 4 of them in this eye look today, and I really have no complaints about the matte shadows at all. They blended really nicely. This deep brown over here built up really nicely with no patchiness. It doesn't go on as fully intense as what it looks in the pan, but I actually like that, especially with really deep shades, because then you can just build it up to the level that you want it to be. And it's much easier to build it up than it is to try to like blend a shade away. So if it goes on way too deep and then it's really difficult to blend, that's where you're going to get a lot of frustration. With this one, I could just build it up gradually. It wasn't frustrating to work with at all, so I don't want to give the impression that it was lacking in the pigmentation. It's just that it was very buildable. So overall, I have no complaints about these eyeshadows. For my eyeliner today, I used their ink liner in black, and this has a very long applicator to it, and it's not really my favorite. Like, it applies nicely, it doesn't feather, it doesn't transfer all over the place. I have no complaints from that perspective, but because it's so long, you lose a little bit of the precision because it does move a bit, and it's just not my favorite applicator. I prefer more of like a true liquid liner rather than the felt tip. There are some felt tips that I enjoy, but this one's not my favorite. It's not bad. Like, it really didn't get like sticky on top of itself. I didn't have any issues laying the product down. These ones just tend to dry out really fast on me. Now, I can't speak to this one in specific on that, but the true felt tip applicators, I find that sometimes they sort of pill at the end or start to split apart. I find that they dry out quickly. It's just not my favorite application method. What I prefer is more, say, like the Bite Beauty Upswing liner. And this isn't a true brush either, but rather than the product coming from inside of the applicator on this one, it's like it dips into a well of product inside. And that's what I prefer because I find that you just get a little bit more precision in that way. This one, not my favorite. I also applied their Icon High Volume and Intense Curl Mascara in black. And this has like those little rubberized bristles. There's really nothing fancy in the applicator itself. It's uniform all the way around, which I actually prefer that to when it gets all like there's a twist in there or they're longer on one side and shorter on the other. I just find it's gimmicky and unnecessary. So I like that this is just a nice standard wand. I really have no complaints about the application of it. It wasn't too dry. It wasn't too wet. It has given me nice separation in my lashes. There's no clumping. And I've worn it a couple of times now. I haven't experienced any flaking or having it just like disintegrate over the course of the day and land on my cheeks. Haven't had any smudging or any eye irritation. So it's a good standard mascara. It does not dethrone my Bite Beauty Upswing mascara though. It's nice. It's not the best. It doesn't add as much volume as I would like, but if you just want some lift and separation, this one will get it done. To lock all of the products into place, I used their hydrating setting spray, and I really, really like this. So it's just like your regular atomizer here, but if you can see it, it's aggressive, but not too aggressive. And what I really like about it is that it disperses really finely. So you are getting a very fine spray, but you can actually feel it hitting your face. Sometimes I find that setting sprays are just too fine of a mist. And then you sit there and like you actually end up using more than you would otherwise because you can't really feel it landing on your face. It's almost like it evaporates before it even hits you. So this one you can feel it, but even though it is aggressive, it's not like shooting water cannons in your face. You know, sometimes you get the other side of the spectrum where it is way too aggressive and then you're just getting like big pools of water on your face. That's not the case here. It's really nice balance. It also has like a bit of like a green tea or a cucumber kind of scent. It's very light, but also really nice. So this is one that I'm very impressed with. And then on my lips, I went in first with the lip liner. This is the waterproof lip liner in the shade Hottie. It's just a really pretty bright pink. These are very creamy. There's nothing dry. They don't tug across the lips, anything of that sort. It's just your standard sort of like wood pencil. I will have to sharpen it, but I really like the feel of this one because it's so comfortable on the lips. It reminds me very much of my beloved Gerard Cosmetics lip pencils, so this is a nice option to have as well. And then I went in with 2 of their matte liquid lipsticks. So first I applied the shade Matte Snob all over my lips, and it's just this really pretty, like orchidy kind of purple. And then just into the center of my lips, I applied the shade Matte Glory, which is much more of like a nice sort of pinky brown nude shade. The liquid lipsticks from Il Makiage, they're not necessarily my favorite, but they're not the worst for sure. So they are very much a transfer proof finish, so you don't see anything on there. There is just a little bit of stickiness, and that's what's keeping me from really raving about them. There's no streakiness to them. They don't crack. They don't get like gummy or gross, anything of that sort, but there is just a little bit of stickiness going on. So I am aware of the liquid lipstick on my lips, even though it has had an opportunity to dry down. So they're nice if there's a color that you really love. I don't think you're going to hate the formula, but it's certainly not the best formula out there. It's not the most comfortable. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention was that applying my foundation, I used their brush number 100, which is the foundation blending brush. And I really like this. It's just a really plain, simple brush. It has good density to the bristles here, and yet there's still good flexibility as well. So buffing your foundation is really easy with this. I had no issues in applying the foundation in that way. It didn't leave any brush strokes behind. It's very soft. There's no scratchiness to it. So I'm a fan of the brush as well. And there we have it, guys. That is just sort of a blazing fast overview of all the products that I've tried from Il Makiage. If there are any items that you want a more specific in-depth review of, let me know in the comments below. But for now, I'm going to wrap the video up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next one. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.